And the more I get into the depth of this work, the more I'm looking backward to my life and realizing, oh my God, how unconscious and immature I was. I was looking at myself, of course, at 20 years old. I'm like, what a prick, thinking he knows everything. And so every time I go and I process a lot of this personal stuff, it always spread out to a broader picture when I'm like, wow.
Gregoire and I were in a class together. 2021, we started this work. I've been going back to those classes and watching them. And it's very wild when you see it on record and you remember being there. I remember this moment, oh my God. And I can feel so much now the energy of like, oh, I'm sharing this thing, but there's also the underlying like, me, look at me. Oh, it's been humbling, painful, gross to see that reflection, but also very necessary.
Necessary, yeah, this is a must. This is a must for us to really see it in every aspect of our lives, because actually this is what keeps us so wounded. This is like the ultimate trap, right? You're programmed into powerlessness and into selfishness, actually, because look at it, our government and everything that's ruling education has written history that is deciding what needs to be silenced or not in every level of our society is the epitome of narcissism.
Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Lee.
And I'm your host, Danny Morley. And today we're joined by fellow coach, Gregoire Bosc. Welcome back to the podcast, Gregoire. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Honored to be here speaking, getting some time to share with you guys.
And you wanted to talk about things around like the wounded masculine energy today. So let's just start diving into that topic.
Yeah, this is something that I've experienced myself to some degree, of course. And it's how we've really been programmed as men to be kind of selfish, first of all, taking everything personally, and being self-centered, and and the more I get into the depth of this work, the more I'm looking backward to my life and realizing, oh my God, how unconscious and immature I was, which is something that, of course, was also happening before that work in some regards. If I was looking at myself, of course, at 20 years old, I'm like, what a prick, This guy was like thinking he knows everything. But this has brought it to another level. And you go back to very important moment of my life and see how I was really emotionally immature and fragile. And and to be able to tap into that, to see the shift I went through, and everything that this is requesting me to process, going back to those moments in time and feeling like, yeah. And so it's very personal, right? And so every time I go and I process a lot of this personal stuff, it always spread out to a broader picture when I'm like, wow, and like thinking about everybody that doesn't give a shit actually about, doing any type of this work. The amount of shift that we have to do as a collective is pretty crazy.
It's funny you bring this up, because this is literally one of the biggest things that I'm going into at the moment. And seeing within in myself, when you start this work, the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to force yourself through this whole process of healing. Once you start to learn the work, it will be mirrored back to you what it is that you need to work on and where your soul is guiding you to look at. And literally this past 2 weeks, this is the main thing that it's just been mirrored back to me so much. I'm being really triggered by it, and it's seeing the level of narcissism, the level of me, the level of selfishness that lives within me, that obviously we as men are extremely brainwashed, conditioned to become. And this obviously has been coming a lot through the podcast series that Rachel is doing, The Cult of Patriarchy. As somebody who's been there filming it, editing it, looking at all the different sides to this, I've been so deeply just
immersed
in it, immersed. That was the word I was looking for. Just so in it, and it's beautiful. It's perfect because it all needs to come up. And I've been going back, and I've been moving through. Gregoire and I were in a class together. This was 2021. We started this work where we were learning to become certified as a coach. And I've been going back to those classes and watching them, just little bits for a project I'm doing, and seeing the level of just narcissism that existed on. So it's very wild when you see it on record and you remember being there. I remember this moment, oh my God. And I can feel so much now the energy of like, oh, I'm sharing this thing, but there's also the underlying like me, look at me. Oh, it's been humbling, painful, gross to see that reflection, but also very necessary.
Yeah, necessary. Yeah, this is a must. This is a must for us to really see it, and in every aspect of our lives, to be able to, because actually this is what keeps us so wounded. This is like the ultimate trap, right? Like you're programmed into powerlessness and into selfishness, actually, because look at it, our governments and everything that's ruling education, that's as written history, that is deciding what needs to be silenced or not in every level of our society, is the epitome of narcissism. It's actually based on powerlessness to such a degree that you need to sacrifice babies, do crazy shit in order to feel that emptiness that you are, and then gaslight, manipulate, control, dominate. And so this is the sauce we have been like cooked at as we were constructing ourselves. And it's not to dismiss our responsibility, never, of course, but actually to realize, oh, fucking hell, even though I can see it out there, even though I was thinking I'm so aware, I'm so awake, oh, I'm so aware. What the fuck, you dude? Look at yourself. And I see it everywhere then. And it's really humbling. So sometimes I can see it in others, of course, but it all stems by me being able to see it in the thickness of my own shit, which is really nasty, like to face those aspects of yourself that are needy, that are seeking validation, that actually are involved into relationship based on that. This is yucky, man. This is like, what do I really have to offer to that when I come from this place, you know? And then to be able to sit in the guilt, in the shame, and the like a beautiful divine guilt and shame. Like to be able to process that and feel it, even though it feels so yucky. But if you're not willing to look at it, then you're gonna repeat those cycles. You're gonna anchor that in, you know? And as long as you're being able to tap in and feel, actually, well, that was really disgusting what I had to offer there. The lack of consciousness I brought up to this scene, to this whole experience, to this whole collective creative experience, because in the end, this is what it is. This is a creative experience. But all I'm bringing is lack, neediness, selfishness, taking things personally. And this is a big common thread for men out there, even though you might not be seeing it. And if you're like, oh, I'm like, not me, oof, like this is a big red flag right here.
Yeah. So let's go there with you guys. Like, what is one thing that you guys are willing to share with everybody of something that you've seen, you know, that comes from, you know, the conditioning that they've done to men that's like, holy shit, that is really hard to look at. That's really hard to move through. And yet I'm willing to do the work around it. What's an example if you guys can think of one? Because I think those really help people who listen of like honing in on like, oh man, and reflecting on, do I have that? Do I run that? Have I done that?
Do you want to start, Danny?
I could go all day on this. I could go all day. The blaming the woman, like the patriarchal program that Ellie, you as my partner, that I hear in my head, and you probably feel this at times, but it's this constant thing of when something goes wrong, immediately there's this part of me that just wants to blame you, and I do my best, obviously, to not create that. But when it comes up to, oh man, this is coming up again, I want to blame her. I know, because I'm at a place where I know it's not you. It's I need to do the work for myself and shift my frequency, alchemize the powerlessness that's living within me. But and that's what it is, right? It's when I feel so powerless, I don't like that feeling. So the easiest thing for me to do, that I've been brainwashed to do by patriarchy, is that when I don't like this, well, let me blame you for how I feel. And here is when we start to create the victim consciousness of the lack of responsibility of men. Well, it's not my fault, this is your fault. It's the projection of blame onto another person. And it's normally in this patriarchal world, it's normally the woman that you're then blaming, and normally your partner. And this, for me, stems back to being in the womb and feeling all of this stuff from my mother. And instead of, understanding that this is the world that is enslaving her, and she is also being victimized, and I'm absorbing that as I'm in her womb, I'm starting to blame her because I'm inside her. I'm like, this is, what are you doing to me? And she is the one that has the one thing that I actually want, which is more feminine energy and power. And so, of course, in patriarchy, when you're programmed and conditioned to be this way, and you're so powerless as a man because you're not allowed to feel your own emotions, of course, you're then going to want to take it or blame the one who does have it, which is, generally speaking, women, right? The woman in the dynamic of a, metrosexual or heterosexual relationship. So, I mean, that's one thing I could literally talk about examples of this all day. I see constantly showing up, and every time it's like, oh, here comes this part of me. Instead of blaming my partner or blaming somebody else, I can simply take responsibility for my own self and activate my own power. This is where my power comes online. And as men, we're just so brainwashed in this world to not take responsibility and to expect the woman to do everything, which is absolutely ridiculous, that women should have to do everything for emotionally fragile men. So for me, it's just constantly looking about, well, one of the aspects of this is, where do I outsource my power to women? And where am I blaming? And it's that simple, really, and becoming aware enough to realize when those programs start to get activated. And as Gregoire said earlier, it's so easy to go, oh, it's not me, I don't do that. It's like, if you're saying that, you're probably hiding it from yourself, which is another thing that we learn to do as men, is we learn to hide things. This is patriarchy. We wear masks. Everything's hush, 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 secret, secret, right? Boys club. You know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, all these kind of bullshit, toxic masculine traits that we just get brainwashed to become as men in society.
Yeah, this brings up so much. There's like many aspects of what you share that could like branch up to full podcast. But I like what you shared about being in the womb and of your pregnant mother. And if you look at what how our society treats pregnant women, it's pretty outrageous. Like this is the most amazing thing that can happen, you know, and this is one of the two most important transitions in our coming into this plane and going from this plane. And if you look at it in our society, those are the treated so lightly, you know, and even so unconsciously, the way we are treating pregnant women in a regular hospital, and the way we are treating our elders, the way they have to end their life very lonely in some, you know, hospice kind of shit, where this is really going less and less connection, less and less dignity, less and less honoring. And I mean, pregnant woman is really transitioning a soul, bringing that soul into this plane that should be at the center of our own community. Our own community should celebrate that. Well, what you will see in extreme cases, and those are pretty not that extreme, pretty common, is that the man, the father, like cannot fuck her anymore, and will go somewhere else when this is happening. I'm being pretty, you know, blunt here, but this is something that I witnessed my mom going through. Like this is literally what she had to go through, and many women, I guess. So this whole matrix of inversion, you know, putting everything upside down. So of course, as babies, when we're gonna like come, the first contact with this plane in the womb is already so twisted, because she is not honored and supported as she should be, you know, or in very rare case,
exactly,
where people are, you know, pretty more conscious and stuff like that. And then you get out of there and you're being taught that everything that stems from your emotional body, which is actually life moving through you, the goddess herself moving through you as you, telling you, hey, dude, you need to process those emotions in order to find a better balance, emotional, energetic balance. It's just like this consciousness, organic consciousness, is taking care of making your heart beat, your cells regenerate, doing a trillion tasks every second. This consciousness, organic consciousness, is telling you, feel the grief, feel the shame now, feel the dread. And we are being taught, go against it, dominate it, suppress it, oppress it. So again and again. So every aspect, because in some minds, this, I understand some people can be weirdly interpreting the way we talk about masculine and feminine. But if you think about it, this aspect of the feminine is at the heart of how we are being kept, conditioned, and so weak and powerless. When Danny is saying, if we were taking ownership for what's happening and connecting to our power, what does that mean? Connecting to my power is connecting to this goddess within, moving through me as me and allowing her to move freely, to be free, actually. Whatever she's bringing, I'm learning. I'm learning from it, to be there, present and connected to it, and to process it, to welcome it, to embrace it. But we are totally been, turned upside down, and we are like, no, I should not be feeling that. I need to put a mask that actually I'm a robot. Even before the tech was there, we've been programmed in being robots, and I should oppress her, dominate her.
Yep. And I want to go back to something that you mentioned just a minute ago, Gregoire, when you said like the generally speaking, the man will kind of go somewhere else. So if in your example, a woman's pregnant and man is wanting to have sex, we can't get that. It's going to go somewhere else. And this is something that I have definitely incarnated into my current family situation to work through. This is something that have been realizing in the last, I would say, week, is seeing the infidelity, the cheating, the lack of truth that of what happened when I was younger in like my family dynamic, and the entitlement that is birthed in here, that if you don't give me what I want, whether it be emotional connection, sexual connection, sexual intimacy, cleaning of the kitchen, making my dinner, making my bread, whatever it is that's ridiculous, that, and it doesn't, and this is the case in my family, it doesn't even have to this necessarily be tied to the man, but generally speaking in patriarchy it is. If I don't get what I want, this is the narcissism, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, then I am entitled to do whatever the fuck I want and go somewhere else to get that. And that's okay. And I received this programming. I received this very programming from both of my parents. It wasn't just the man. I received this from both mom and dad, that if I want something, it's okay for me to not give a shit about you anymore, to just fuck you off and go out and get what it is that my selfish, egoic, shadow self desires, that it longs for, that it needs. And I'm willing to put that selfish need that isn't coming from, this deep heart-centered soul, I do need this, I need to follow this calling. It's coming from a very selfish, wounded place, that it is okay for me to dismiss my responsibilities as a parent, to dismiss my responsibilities as a human being, and I can put all that on the side and I can do what I need to do to fulfill my own needs and my own desires. And there's obviously a lot of distortion here, where the other end of that is, well, you should just, do everything for everyone else. That's the same thing. It's the same vibrational frequency. To be in oneness means I can give to myself, my soul, from a loving place, and I can then allow that energy, that beautiful oneness, divine feminine energy, to flow outwards and then serve everyone else as well. It's not one or the other. It's not I'm either this servant, this slave serving everyone, or I'm the slave owner and I do everything for me. In oneness, you dissolve all of that. You dissolve that dualistic polarity extreme, and you're able to show up as both, whatever's needed in the moment. So it's never about, I'm not saying no one should ever give themselves what they need, but it's the energy at which we're coming from. And really, I've really been seeing this come through my upbringing and my, like, just my whole family, this whole energy of selfishness, that it's okay for me to, if my partner isn't giving me what I need, then I can start to look elsewhere. And in past relationships, this would show up within me emotionally. And I've seen it been showing up over the last couple of years where, let's say, my partner, Ellie, is having maybe a challenging day, or she's moving through a period where she just needs to be she needs more independence and space, and needs to be left alone. And then I'm not getting that intimacy that I feel like I need, right? And there's obviously the distortion. Why do I need that thing from her? Why do I need that thing from somebody else? And this is where we lack our own power, is that we're so disconnected from ourselves as men, or could be as a woman as well, that we don't have the power, that when these wounds start to come up, what we feel like we need, what we're brainwashed to think, a man and a woman are supposed to give each other in a relationship, we start to look for that outside of ourselves. Oh, well, I never kissed the person. I'm not having sex with them. I'm not doing anything like that. We're just friends, right? We're just talking. Yeah, but on an emotional level, are you cheating, right? Are you wearing the mask that you're a good person because you feel like you don't do this one thing, but energetically you're showing up in a very different way? You're showing up, and this is what I've had to really look at, is where do I show up energetically selfish, wanting, entitled, wanting something that I don't feel like I'm getting in my relationship? And then how can I just find that from within inside myself? And that has been a hell of a journey.
Yeah, and how honest and how honest is this? Yeah, right there. The honesty, level of honesty and willingness to see what's in there, to be able to see that within yourself. This is the expression of all the work that has been, like, before that, bringing to that point, because otherwise, like, what you're sharing, what the fuck are you sharing, Danny? There is like, what is there is this expression, like, I don't want even to get there because it's so gross, but like, people are so far from what you share.
Mm-hmm.
You just share. Like, the common man is so far from that. Hey, like, what's the deal, And I understand some people go even extreme opposite end, like that. This is just wanting like anything else, and we can change partner and have sex like this, and we agree on that. But even the depth of those dynamics, like, and it's not to judge. Everybody does what he wants, go through his own path and experiences. But what I found out, and what we also explored together with many clients and in many situations with other coaches too, is that actually there's so much wounding carried all around, and that's really at the bottom of those behaviors, of us trying to, as Danny was saying, feed some empty void within ourselves. And that's using, guys. That's using somebody to fill that little void, like, for this short lapse of time, that actually it will never feel it anyway. It's not even feeling it. It's giving you the illusion, the temporary illusion of relief from having the void, because the void is just building up. The void is just growing by continuing to do like this. That's the truth.
Yeah, and we have to, be willing to see that there is this void here, and it's when we start to really awaken that this is how we are brainwashed and conditioned to be, is like that this void is there because we lack the connection to our own selves, which is the true feminine nature that we all are. So when we, from, as Gregoire shared earlier, from within the womb, start to get this conditioning and programming, because this is happening collectively within the community, within then the household, within then the individual woman who is birthing you into existence, when that is the collective energy that exists globally, countrywide, community-wide, family-wide, right? You're going to be conditioned energetically. You're going to be programmed that way and then as soon as you're birthed into this world, you're taught that men aren't supposed to have emotions and that emotions are bad, and crying is a sign of weakness, and you don't want to be weak because weakness means you're a woman, and this is patriarchy and they're inferior, that we must be this superior emotionless man. Ridiculous. You disconnect from the true source. You disconnect from the feminine nature that you are. So of course there's going to be all these places that you have a void, that you're missing parts of your own self. You're missing what you really are. It's not even like you're missing your whole self, because that's oneness. Feminine energy is oneness. Rachel's taught this in so many different podcasts. Like, you're missing that whole part of you. And so, of course, then, you're going to move through experiences of not having that and feeling that feeling. And then what we brainwash to do, just go and take it, or, do all of these ridiculous things that we do as men.
Yeah, and the patriarchy, obviously they know what they're doing, right? These parasites, they know what they're doing. And so they go after little boys and make sure that, they program them to, believe that if they show any emotions, they're a coward, they're a woman. Listen, I've been with Danny for 4 years. This man is more sensitive and more emotional than I am by like 10,000 yards. Okay. Like, the amount that this man cries compared to me, the amount that he moves through, like, compared to me. And I realized, like, this was me and my brother too. My brother was always crying. He was always feeling everything. He was very sensitive. And then, being brought up in this world, it was beaten out of him, really, and then now he's just angry, right? Because that's the only thing that you're allowed to feel. And so this is what they do to little boys. And in fact, boys are much more emotional and sensitive than little girls.
But Ellie, I thought women are the emotional ones on the planet.
Right, exactly. That's the brainwashing. It's crazy. It's crazy. I love that you guys are sharing all of this. I would love to go here with you guys on this. What was it like for you to see the parts of your shadow selves that objectified women, that, saw women as objects that you can conquer, that you can use or whatever? Because of course that's going to be in there, right? It's going to be in all men because that's the patriarchy and that's the world we've been brought up in. But what was that like for you to see that and go into that, if you have?
Yes, we have. Of course we have. And so this is multi-layered, of course. And this is multi-layered, and it's really all stemming again from our neediness and our actually, I want to link that response to what Danny said, that we've been programmed to act like we're superior, that we are stronger. But actually, this is based on us being so pathetically weak. Okay? And so these, all those behaviors, those twisted relationship behaviors, with men objectifying women, it feeds those programs of I'm superior. Like I can use you for my, oh, you're not giving me what I want. I can go pick it. Somebody is ready to give it to me elsewhere, you know, kind of thing. And it just feeds those programs that are rooted in powerlessness, weakness, and neediness. So actually, it's a very difficult process to look at it. Because then you have to, while you were gaslighting yourself, that, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so over. And now you're getting down the scaffold. Like, oh my God, actually, everything is stemming from powerlessness. I'm emotionally immature. I cannot withstand my shallow, compulsive neediness. I cannot even deal with that. Don't talk about anything lower, anything deeper. The very shallow, compulsive neediness, I'm not able to deal with that. This is the expression of that. And you have to wake up from that, because this has been fed. This has been fed, this has been cultivated in the collective, so much that it's banalized. And this is a level of harm. This is a level of abuse. This is a level of evil already. This is the same, vibration spectrum that will get you to use kids to satisfy your needs, any fucking gross needs you need. This is the same spectrum. It's objectifying and using beings, divine beings, for your own shallow, narrow, needy, wicked shit. Distortion. So it's so gross when you realize that you have that in you. When I realize I have that in me, and I still have to be so vigilant to spot it when it's coming up and to deal with it, not run away from it, because this is painful to see. Nobody wants to sit in that. Nobody wants to feel that about himself. It's easier to run away and keep on feeding the beast.
Yeah. Even just talking about this, and Ellie, you bringing that up, I can feel in my solar plexus sacral chakra, I can feel it, all the energy still. I've been working through this for years now, but there's still energy that's in there, like trapped in there, in that whole area around my like genitalia, that I think it got fed in there for years and years and years of watching porn, years and years and years, to the point now I'm at a place now that if sometimes I'm on like YouTube or I'm scrolling around, I obviously don't follow any accounts that are provocative in any kind of way, but sometimes adverts will come up for like dating things that are all like weird, twisted stuff that obviously I'm a man, it's targeting me based on what I'm looking at. And I could just the image of like seeing a woman's breasts, not like fully exposed, but like as they do in a provocative way on these ads. It's like talk to a girl online or whatever. Just seeing that, I feel this energy start to get activated in that area of my physical body. And as you just beautifully mentioned, right, Gregoire, it's like you start feeding this beast. And we get taught at a very young age, way too young, way too young, that this is normal, that watching pornography is normal, that feeding this part of you, which objectifies, is completely okay. Oh, you just got to be over 18. Well, I'm not over 18. I'm probably 10, 11, 12 years old, way too young to be looking at this stuff. But I have access to it. I'm interested. This is what men do. This is normal. So from a young age, you start to get completely conditioned and brainwashed that this is normal in society. And it feeds into your energetic system. And I can literally feel it in there right now. And so even now, I'm 33 now, 20 odd years later, I see these images will come up, or these, videos or whatever, of just maybe like a cleavage. And I feel that energy activated. Now, in the past, I would then unconsciously act out on this energy. I would either then go seek, to, a woman to be with, or, to be in that lust-filled energy, or it would normally lead to me going and watching porn or something along those lines. And that is just further, as you said, Gregoire, feeding that beast, stepping away from divinity. Rachel said one time that, every time you watch porn, you are dehumanizing. And every time you do that, you're taking one step further away from your divine nature. Because in watching that kind of, content, that media, all you're doing is objectifying this person, whether it be man, woman, whatever. You're objectifying this person. So to look at that, to answer your question now, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And of course, there is so much shame that we as men, we have to be willing to face, to look at the truth of the way that we have shown up in so many ways. But even let's just stick with this one example of just watching pornography and thinking that that's an okay thing to do and that's normal in society, to objectify a woman and use her for your pleasure. And then now bring it into what I was mentioning earlier. Oh, my partner's not giving me what I want. I can just go jerk off to porn and watch porn. It's totally fine. That's not cheating. I'm just watching porn. That's cheating. If you're doing that, you're objectifying now another woman. Now, granted, it's over the internet and it's not someone in your fit. It's the energetics is the same thing. So to be able to arrive at a place where you can actually face the truth of how you've been showing up, it's a horrible, horrible feeling. It doesn't feel great in that moment, but it's necessary to actually heal for real. This is part of us as men realizing where we're at, and what Rachel explains. This is the descension that we have to go through to ascend. We have to be willing to look at all the ugly places that we show up, all of the ways we do objectify, and that horrible feeling. I mean, immediately it's like the wave of equality comes up. Like seeing others, let's stick with this example. If I'm willing to objectify a woman, then I'm not seeing her as equal in any measure. How can I? When I'm turning her physical body into an object, something that's for me to just enjoy the pleasure of, there is no divinity flowing through in that moment. And that doesn't mean never to have, be romantic with your partner. That's the polarity, right? We're not saying the solution is being a monk, right? And chopping off, your balls, so to speak. But it's what energy are you coming from if you do choose to engage in those activities. And my recommendation for most men is take a step back from all of that and really start to feel, where are you actually at? Take a good look in the sacred mirror and start to heal some of the objectification energies. Because every time you choose to do that and you engage in any sort of sexual activity, whether it be with another being or on the computer screen, right, or just in your mind, you're consenting to probably the energies of objectification. And that right there is a complete desecration of the divine feminine energy that you naturally are.
Yeah, I have this. I was with a friend a while back, and the guy is really looking at every woman and making comments like about their asses and like, oh, like he's seeing himself already in there, and in the same conversation, like 15 minutes apart, he's like, talking about this experience where this gay guy looked at him, you know, and it was so hilarious. And he tells me, well, the guy is looking at my ass, fucking dirty, Dumbo. And I'm like, oh, so now you get to experience
Hilarious.
what you're doing to those, exactly what you're doing all day long to all those
And
women.
probably has no idea.
He could not even understand what I was talking about. He didn't even link it.
Amazing.
I had to explain it. Well, like he didn't even make the connection. But to come back to what you were sharing and Paul, you know, like everything that we've seen in the Epstein files, the way those people are being blackmailed, are being drawn into those levels of guilt and shame. Like they're being drawn down, okay? Because they are wounded. We're all wounded, but like a very smart people, not smart in the sense, because they cannot be intelligent. This is not the definition of intelligence for me, but let's say sneaky minds, you know, they will manage to compromise you, finding your weak spots, and to drag you so low into those guilt and shame loops that you have no way out after a certain point. Okay, but that's like to some specific levels of the government. But then when you know how those everything there functions, to the masses, this is going through porn. This is going through porn. First, you want to education. You want to really put severance with sexuality. You want to see that sexuality is something bad, but everything is being sexualized. And you have very few access, or you have to really go for it. But usually before you're even in age to be interested with sexuality, you have been inundated with porn or, you know, rap clips, you know, objectifying visuals of women. And so this is how it's why it's so spread and so deep within our psyche and our energetics. It's because before we would go to the library, you know, facing like, what the fuck shall I do with a woman, you know, or even just listening to your own instinct. Actually, porn is what is educating the young men and young girls too. Like this is not, never think that as we speak, we obviously speak about wounded masculine, but this is affecting women so much too, you know, that women want to be this think that to be powerful, she should be like using that into men to be able to manipulate him, you know. This is endlessly, you know, intertwined, but this is how we are being like really manipulated and educated. Like, well, like I grew up, there was porn everywhere in my house. Like there was books, hardly some, like mom had some books, but my dad had books of naked women. Porn.
I believe I even found some coasters that were different sexual positions in my house growing up. So I feel you. I definitely grew up. Again, it's like life lessons. I know I came down here to learn a bunch of hard lessons by descending myself into these life lessons around all this stuff, and being in a home environment where, just like you, Gregoire, there was access to this material at a young age. And then, as you mentioned, like that starts to become your education of like, and then you know, you watch movies and it's reinforced in our media, the TV, film, you know, TV programs. a lot of it reinforces how we're supposed to be and what's cool. Oh, you're cool if this is how you see, you know. It's not cool to be the way of equality in patriarchy growing up. It's not cool to honor another being. It's cool to like not give a shit and destroy and objectify and be like the badass. Like, why is the term a badass a good thing? This is the inversion that we live in. Oh, he's such a badass, right? We say that because this is the world that we live in, is that to be bad is good, instead of like to connect to our own divinity and live from our soul. Oh, why don't we praise and celebrate beings who do that instead of the opposite?
You know, I sometimes wonder, have you guys ever moved through just complete and utter rage of what the patriarchy has done to you guys?
I have not yet. Not against the patriarchy for me personally. And I believe that will come the more that all of the programs of blame get fully healed. So the more and more and more that I tap into my own divine feminine nature, I then don't need to blame anyone else for not having it. And only once I stop that victim blame dynamic, then true power starts to emerge. And then that will open the door for divine rage to, instead of it being blame, it's you are holding accountable. It's part of the way of responsibility. First way was holding accountable the victimizer for what it is that they're doing. But to get there, it's like you've got to arrive at activating and connecting to the feminine that you are first. And so that means you've got to be willing to stop blaming and look at all. This is where we started. Stop blaming and looking at all the powerlessness of where you don't have that already. And then I believe that's where the fight, that inner rage will start to get lit. But that's at least my experience. I haven't got to a place where I have personally felt that against patriarchy.
Yeah, same. You feel more like responsible for what you've done, for allowing, to have been like, and even the way we are trying to explain that is never to dismiss our responsibility. But there is the two truths in the same time, that yes, we've been brainwashed and conditioned, and yes, this is our responsibility to deal with that and make sure that we are not tolerating that and participating in co-creating that. Okay? And so the rage, I feel it more to the extreme when I see, everything that's happening nowadays in the world. I feel a lot of rage. I never feel the rage because I've been, I've been siphoned to some degree in those programs. Because just as Danny was, I'm not a victim to that. I'm healing from that every day. I'm getting out of it. I'm alchemizing and dismantling that from within, which is what we teach here, like how to spot it, eradicate it, stop consenting to co-create with it. So this is where like I cannot even be enraged because I'm not stuck in there and a victim to that, but I'm enraged to many lives that have been like a fucking hell because of those nasty, weak, and powerless bastards. Pathetic bastards.
And think of it like this, Al, for that, because I know what you're speaking about, right? It's that divine rage to start to like flow through that like dragon fire. For that really to come online for a man, let's just say, we have to be that's arriving at a place of allowing that divine feminine energy to burn through you, solely holding the true abuser responsible. Now, for a man to get there, what's going to block that? What's going to block a man from actually doing that? Well, I have to be willing to see every single place that I have been that abuser first. How can I be divinely rageful against the patriarchy when what I have been programmed and conditioned to do is to hide away, to wear the mask, to feel shameful? Well, the shame's naturally going to be created when you are playing the role of the victimizer, the abuser, right? So, but when we've learned in patriarchy to hide all of that and not feel it because we're too powerless to compartmentalize and wear the mask and do all these things, if I'm not fully at a place where I've seen all of those places that I still do that, where I outsource my power, how can I allow myself to feel what a contradiction that would be? How can I hold the patriarchy, the true abuser, accountable when I've not even done that within inside myself? So this is where we first as men have to see all of the ways that we're doing that, see every mask that we wear, every ounce of divine shame, karmic shame that we have created by playing out the role of the patriarchal abuser in whatever way, shape, or form, until we arrive at a place of actually owning that and doing that and moving through the alchemical energetic process of elevating ourselves to that place. That divine rage is probably not going to flow through a man, because there's too many parts of our unconscious self which aren't willing to do that for our own selves yet, right? We haven't moved through all of that, all of those different parts of us that we've hidden away. So that energy will probably come online to men as we truly, truly, truly master and start to become what the ways are, right? When we're truly vibrating as the way of responsibility and we're vibrating as the way of equality, when we've healed the parts of us that are that have become that abuser, have become the victimizer, then it will allow for a different level of energetics to start flowing through us to hold the true, thing that needs to be not blamed but held accountable for why we are so messed up. But that's a process. That's going to be a process for us as men.
Yeah, I felt that in some instance, I was like at a restaurant with two very good friends, and we all work in the wellness industry. Okay. And suddenly those two friends, they went to Juan de Dios in Brazil, that ended up in prison because of many rape accusations. And this is coming up to the table. First, they talk about their experience there. That was amazing. And then one of them say, wow, you've seen that the guy's in prison with almost 400 women, on his ass, reporting abuses. And one of my friends at the table start going like taking part for the guy. And so it starts slowly, but I felt this rage coming up within me, and I was just witnessing it. It's not something that I even decided, but it's the more the person was taking part and trying to discredit the 400 women, the more I was feeling this rage coming up. And it was really, I was like eating on the table saying like, this is not happening here with me. What you're doing right there, I won't allow that to happen in my presence. Like I understand that we can all have, but you're trying to cover something. And I was so seeing clearly that actually my good friend was projecting some aspects of himself that is not willing to look at. Not saying that he done something like this guy has done, but this is stinging somewhere. I was feeling it.
That's
this
exactly
is stinging something somewhere, and you're really not willing to look at it. So now you come with all the justification, those excuses that, oh, I can touch your shoulder, so why cannot I touch here? And before, people will not make all story about having sex. People were having sex like this, but no, feel the energy where this is coming from, dude. There's 400 women that have been tricked by this guy, and this is not okay, especially in our field. Like, this is not like in our field, dude. This should be like a safe place. Like, when you're able to do things like that, it's not safe, actually. And even some women can think, listen to that, because this is the degree to the level at which we are brainwashed as a collective. Even some woman can listen to this and say, like, this is not such a big deal, you know? Like,
yes. Yep, the minimizing of it. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Because that's what's been done to women. Is, oh, the rape and the everything, it's not that big of a deal. So then we all buy into that collective thing because we don't allow ourselves to feel what's actually in there. Tragic. Like, when you really start awakening to this and the levels of brainwashing, manipulation, and conditioning that we've all received, men and women, it's fucking tragic.
Yeah. And even like thinking like, or is it really, can we call this a rape? Or did she didn't dare say no, or whatever the fuck actually you come up with. This is, you know, because the level of abuse, you know, the level of abuse, we grow, like, this is the source again, we built ourselves in. So we are totally, completely immune to abuse to some degree. Like, if it's not the extreme end, that's not such a, like, the threshold is so up there, you know, way out up there, that we find excuse for stupid things all the time.
Yep. The quickest and easiest thing to do as a man is just accept to some degree that you're a rapist. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. It's like, no, I've definitely contributed. It might not be the black and white thing that you think that it is, in the way that, oh, well, it's not that, you know? But have you ever had intercourse and you and the person have been intoxicated? Well, did you have a few drinks before? Well, is that woman then in a right mind, making fully conscious decisions? No. Well, that's rape culture right there. And this is the culture that we've grown up in. I was just listening to somebody share a story the other day, older than me, talking about, I was at the bartender and overheard this conversation. And somebody was saying about, they were talking about alcohol percentages, and they're like, oh yeah, we used to make like this like alcoholic drink at the parties with Everclear 95%. You know, it's like, oh, you know, a couple glasses of that, and it would get all the girls fucked up, you know? And it's like, that right there, that's rape culture. That's it. Where if you have ever had that thought or participated in that event, you're consenting to rape culture. That's rape right there. And this is what we have to be willing to do and realize is we do objectify as men. We exist in rape culture. We rape in some kind of way, energetically at the root, right? And we have to be willing to look at that with inside ourselves and accept that, yeah, this is the world that we've grown up in. We've been conditioned and to brainwashed to be this way. And we need to connect to our own internal power to be able to heal and rise out of this entire enslavement matrix. Nobody is going to do it for you. This is a solo mission that we're on collectively, but we have to become it ourselves.
Beautiful conversation, guys. For the men at home who are listening to this, if you want to join, please join our first ever men's group. It's called Masculine Evolving Now. Greg and Danny will be in that group, guiding and doing teachings and all of that. So check it out at mastersofselfuniversity.com. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and for just being honest. This is what the world needs more of. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.